What's up, my loves? It's your girl Diamond, and I'm back with my all new review of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Let's get into it. I'm irritated, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm late though, but I'm irritated because this whole episode pissed me off. Everyone has annoyed me, except for Melody and Tiffany. But everybody else annoyed me because everyone's messy. And the two hypocrites that are on my screen are Marcel and Tisha. Y'all are two fucking hypocrites. Let's get into it, okay? It's also with Tisha packing up. They're packing up the home they've been living in as a temporary solution for Scott Manor to be built. They've been living there, ever since Love and Marriage Huntsville was on air. It's been about 5 seasons. They lived in the same house after all this time. And now they're moving, but not to Scott Manor. Oh no, they're moving into an apartment. Yes, you heard me, an apartment. Because Scott Manor is going to take another 3 years to build. It's becoming Chateau Charest. It's becoming Neverland. Dirt and grass, rocks and sticks. That's what I'm getting. Y'all ain't got no money. That's all I'm going to say. Y'all ain't got no money because that makes no sense whatsoever. And you guys have 3 children, one who's a teenager, who's almost out of school in the next 2 years. How is that going to work? Make that make sense for me. Is it because of the allegations and the lawsuits, allegedly? Come on now, the liens and stuff. Let me know. Is it because of that? Because this makes no sense to me that you guys are downsizing. Why? And we should focus on this. Why are you guys having problems living in good situations? Why isn't Scott Manor being built? What materials are you not buying? Marcel, are you being cheap? Are you still not telling Tisha what's going on in the business? Please let me know. I swear to God, I can't. But Marcel was too happy to not only tell Tisha, also Tisha, before I get into it, I hate this wig on you. I hate the color. I hate it. And your makeup was too light. Fire your hairstylist and fire your makeup artist. But before that, let me get into it. I'm sorry. Marcel was too happy to tell Tisha about what happened between him, Tiffany, and Martell, right? Martell was studying at Black for the builder's license. Tiffany came by to talk about partnering up with Martell for a project in Selma. But Martell did not talk about any business while Tiffany was there. He wanted to discuss the questions that Tiffany asked Sheree at his upscale event. Questions that I don't think were that bad. Yes, were they invasive? Yes. Inappropriate? Yes. Crossing boundaries? Yes. But it's a reality show. You guys all asked inappropriate questions all day, every day. And she was repeating what questions were asked about Martell and Sheree's relationship from the beginning. It ain't nothing new. Okay? Nothing new at all. And Marcel likes to live in misery. No, he lives off of other people's misery. He wants to be involved in other people's mess to deflect from his mess. Because that's what this should have been about. So, just asking her questions about have you met Melody and how does it feel to date a cheater? Which is the truth. Martell is a cheater. He hasn't changed ever since the divorce. He hasn't changed since he was caught cheating. Martell's been the same consistent person, the same narcissist at all this time. We haven't seen him in a new light. Him being on RHOA still don't change how we see him on Love and Marriage Huntsville. And Marcel want to say the audacity of someone to ask, how does it feel to date someone known to be a cheater? Because he's cheated. Shut up. Then Tisha want to say, well, she did cheat on her first husband. She did. Okay, she admitted that. You mean to tell me what's a pattern for something? That she's going to ask those questions? Tisha, if my marriage heard me correctly, you wanted to know any bad thing about Tiffany. Any scheme, any secrets, any, issues. You wanted to know the bad stuff about Tiffany, not the good stuff. And Tiffany wasn't afraid to admit that she cheated. Louis wasn't afraid to admit that he cheated. Hello, you did. But y'all not about to make it seem as if she is in the same situation as Martell. This was way before she met Louis. Way before. She's learned about herself since then. And so why she's married and about to have a baby. So she recognized her faults in cheating on her first husband. She got divorced from that first husband. Found Louis and doesn't want to go through the same shit again. With Martell knew what he had. He should have cherished what he had. He fucked up what he had. And this man carried on an affair and had an outside child. So you're not about to make it seem as if it's the same thing because it's not. And y'all know why she asked those questions. And I don't know why you're making it seem as if you guys weren't thinking it. Y'all were. Okay? And Marceau want to say, what did Tiffany what did Tiffany think to do with this knowledge? What was she thinking? I'm thinking she was looking for a way to become a cheater herself, looking for a way to find out how can she do it. Marceau, you mean to tell me on camera you're allegedly saying that a woman who's 8 months pregnant and married is looking for a cheat on her husband? Is that what you're saying? You gotta be out your fucking mind. That makes no sense. For y'all to say that shit on TV, Lewis, do not hold back on asking them this question. I don't want nothing else from nobody. I want an entire segment see about Tisha and Marceau in this scene. That's what I want to know. Because this always happens with y'all. Y'all have so much camera time to talk about everybody else but y'all situation. We should really discuss why y'all moving. We should discuss, did Tisha ever find a new office since you kicked her out? We should discuss this. Because y'all issues are never aired out. We still have not understood, why did you receive an ass photo from another woman? Why did you go to Africa? Why didn't you express your love for your wife on your anniversary when y'all went to Vegas last season, the season before? Why didn't you go up and say something? Like, it's been multiple instances as to why Marceau and Tisha are not showing up on camera. Who's protecting them? I want to know. And Marceau is being extremely messy right here by putting out an allegation that Tiffany wants to be a cheater. She wants to cheat on her husband, knowing that she's pregnant. I say you guys are fucking crazy. And you guys are not perfect. You guys have all acted in ways that are messy, overbound. And you guys always done it. You guys always put on Tiffany. She's done the most worst things ever. Hello? She is not the only one who's done things that are questionable. It's like, girl, why you do that when y'all do the same exact thing? Miss me. Tiffany pulls up at the house. Lewis sees that she's upset because she is. I was supposed to have a meeting with Martell about Selma, and that's not what I got. I got Marceau and Martell coming at me with the questions that I asked about Sheree, and they did not like that. Lewis wanted to know, how can two grown men have a conversation with you about what you had with another woman? Exactly. So what was the question? How does it feel dating someone who's known to be a cheater? He laughed because he felt like, girl, I'm not surprised, but you really said that though? I did. I mean, yeah, you cheated before, I cheated before, he cheated before, ain't nothing new. And I think this is the problem. Lewis and Tiffany have never shied away from what they've done in their marriage. That's why they have learned to communicate, learned to do better than what they did on their first marriage. Martell, to me, still hasn't taken accountability of what he did that ruined his marriage. He doesn't like to be reminded of his mistakes. He gets defensive. He gets stuttering. He starts to, act out very aggressively, very mean, put on airs about how, oh, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't. He always does that victim blaming shit. So, so it's like, well, what happened? What'd she say? Well, she told Martell how she felt, and Martell told me about how it made him feel. But Lewis and Tiffany remembered that Sheree wasn't that upset. They remember her face, not irritated, not annoyed. She didn't bark, she didn't walk out, she didn't make a dramatic exit. So was she really that upset? And if she was upset with you asking those questions, she would have said, well, I don't want to answer that. I prefer you not to ask me that, because I'm not here for that. I'm not here for the mess. I'm not here for the questions. And that's all she could have did, though. If Sheree really felt the way about those questions, she wouldn't have answered them. But Sheree knew what it would do for the media. She knew how the cameras would play it off, because Sheree is a veteran in reality TV. She knows how saying things or not completely clearing up things can leave an insinuation for everyone to run with the narrative. Like, it's going to be ran with a certain narrative at the end of this. So, yeah, Sheree not knows these questions. She's been asked all types of questions before, and Sheree has done the opposite. Sheree has also asked invasive questions before. She's also acted in nasty messiness. I mean, she is a bone collector. Sheree has always been in other people's business and never talk about hers. Like now. Are you kidding me? And Tiffany, I'm going to give Tiffany this every time. She is not afraid to ask the tough questions. She's not afraid to call out the bullshit. Everyone else is. Back with Marceau and Tisha, he brings up Tiffany asking Sheree, do you think your pussy is good enough to keep Martell? She didn't say it like that because that was after the question of does he have feelings for Mel? We know he does. And if you think he don't, is it because you put the pussy down like that in so many words? Probably, yeah. But we all know that's not a real relationship. So that ain't gonna happen. Teacher said she would have cussed her out if she said that to her. You wouldn't. And it's a grown conversation with two grown adults. We grown. Like, I'm not about to sugarcoat nothing around you. If I have a question, I'm going to ask a question. And if Sheree was uncomfortable, she should have said something, but she didn't. And you want to talk about a human being should never ask that question. Let me educate you about this real quick, Marceau. Sheree wrote down on a piece of paper at Kenya's daughter's 3rd birthday party last season about Candy sucking dick in the locker room. That's what a human being just did, Marceau. Sheree wrote a comment about someone else doing nasty things. And you want to come at Tiffany about her asking Sheree, is her pussy good enough to keep Martell? You can fucking miss me. Sheree has done countless shit asking invasive questions before. That is one of them. Are you fucking kidding me? She was also on the bandwagon of Marlo putting out airs about Todd possibly cheating on Candy. Sheree talks a whole lot of shit on her confessionals. A whole lot of shit in her confessionals, but she never admits it when it's on camera. She never admits it when she's being confronted. She always acts stupid and stutters. You can miss me with that shit. Marceau mixes everything. And knowing that Tiffany came from a blended family perspective, because she talked about when her and her baby daddy was not getting along for the sake of co-parenting their child, she realized if I had got my shit together sooner, it would have been a much smoother outcome. Since you're dating and you're dating this woman and this woman hasn't met Mel, that's a problem. But we all know why Martell did that, because he's not in a good place with Mel. And he doesn't want to be in a good place with Mel in that aspect. So he wants to create a problem, create an issue. That's why he did the things that he did to get the buzz on him and Sheree. Them walking her dog, them at the beach, and now him on RHOA. It's that different perspective, different narrative that he wants people to see him as. He don't want people to see him as the cheating pumpkin eater who was trying to take Mellie's kids away from her and also putting out revenge, PORN, on her. No, he don't want to see that guy. And the way he's telling his story to Sheree, she's believing that shit. So, yeah, miss me with that. And they were making such an annoying reaction where it's not that big, it's not that deep. And I think Martell asked, or did Marceau want to know how many sexual partners that Tiffany has had. And it's like, that's so fucking disrespectful. This woman is married and pregnant. Now Tisha want to say it's disrespectful. Tisha, shut the fuck up. You, just last episode, tried to create a rumor about Tiffany having an affair with her business partner. And now you want to say him clocking her pussy miles is inappropriate? You can miss me with that shit. And it's so funny though, Tisha, how you can be so laughy and giddy about this, but you were up in arms and not even want to admit that your mother was wrong for creating a rumor about Sugar Mama. Are you serious right now? And I felt like, why didn't we get a continuation with that as well? Like, I'm so annoyed watching these two. Like, it's so crazy to me. And then Marceau with the whole Karen comment. Tiffany clocked it with, are you saying I'm a Karen because I'm half white? And Tiffany's reaction wasn't what Marceau did. It wasn't, oh my God, you calling me Karen? No, she didn't say it like that, Marceau. She said, so you calling me Karen because I'm half white? It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? You ain't calling me that name. She was very quick and stern to your ass. And then Tisha want to say that Tiffany's relying on the fact that she's pretty and that she can say all these crazy comments, ask these crazy questions because she's pretty. She's relying on a pretty privilege. I said, Tisha, I hope you're not trying to make it a colorism issue, because that's so not true. You have said many passive-aggressive things. You have mentioned a lot of inappropriate things. Just like how you mentioned the first season about Melly and Martell's anniversary, you mentioned cheating. You can miss me with that shit. And I caught when she said pretty, because Tiffany is pretty, but I caught the pretty as, oh, because she's light-skinned. And you think because she's light-skinned, she can say whatever she wants to say. That's not true. People drag Tiffany on social media. They drag you. They drag Mel. They drag Destiny. They drag Stormy. Everybody gets a good amount of dragging on this show. And colorism, no. You, however, do feel a way that you're not being presented in a way where you thought you would. But you going that route for colorism, they don't like that, because you're not about to add colorism on Love Marriage Huntsville. That's not what happened on this show. No ma'am, no ma'am, no ma'am. You're dealing with a woman who is blunt, who is honest. Her skin tone has nothing to do with it. Back with Tiffany, she expressed that Marsau had way too much animosity towards her, calling her a Karen. She didn't know how to take it. And she said, you need to holler at your friends. After grilling her, she said, oh, yeah. Oh, no. Marsau. After grilling her, that's when he said, I think we need to talk to Lewis. But y'all didn't say, let's talk to Lewis before this conversation. So Marsau go to hell for that. And Lewis said if he ever had a problem, he could have hit me up. He can always talk to me directly if he had an issue. Now, I would happy if I tell my man about what happened with another man. He'd be like, oh, word? All right, bet. I'm going to fix it. That would get me happy. That would get me happy because my man will protect me. My man will go to bat for me. Okay, now I know in the comments, people were like, Tiffany is setting Lewis up. She wanted him to say something. She wanted him to do something. Why should he not? That's her husband. If something was to happen to me and I express that to my husband, he going to put some action behind it. That's what he should do. If he lets it roll off his shoulders and not do nothing, then that means he's not the man for me. He's not protecting me. You know what I'm saying? That's not good if he don't do nothing at all. So, at the same time, Marsau is on my screen. Oh, right. Last week, everyone was upset for Timmy being messy. Here go Marsau telling his wife of what happened. He's being messy. Tisha mentioned the baby shower. Tiffany's baby shower is coming up. And he said, go ahead and air it out. Go ahead and tell everyone what has been said. Because if she be messy, you gonna be messy too. I felt like, are you for real? So right here, nobody's perfect. Everyone's messy. Everyone take interest in other people's mess and want to hide and disguise it and get it off their backs. And this is what I see. Just like this. Okay? And Marsau, you giving way too much animosity towards another woman. Just like how you felt as though Tiffany said what she said, but Sheree is also not afraid to hit someone. You're advocating for a pregnant woman to get hit is annoying to me. It's a problem for me. But I'll move on. Kimmy and Maurice. Very small conversation. Kimmy has been cleared for radiation. I think she just finished her last chemo treatment. You know, when it comes to her hair is growing, but it's coming up fine and straight. And her hair was a big part of her sexuality. It's what made her feel beautiful. And not having long hair is not making her feel as pretty. But they're having conversations about sex. Now, apparently, it was the same conversation they've had last season when Maurice wanted to have sex multiple times in a day, every day. But Kimmy has already expressed to him how that can happen. And this was before she was diagnosed. Finding out that chemo has decreased her libido, she's not having the same amount of sex as she would have with her husband. And she's letting him know, I don't feel all that horny. I don't feel a desire to have sex. And she's been faking. In her own way, she says she's been faking, pretending to be in the mood to have sex with Maurice so that he doesn't count how many times he hasn't had sex, because Maurice wants to have sex all day, every day. Now, I felt like Kimmy is suffering and biting the bullet to make sure her husband still gets his rocks off, still gets satisfied of the amount of sex that he wants, but she's not worrying about her. And you know, even throughout the course of her going to treatment, she hasn't been in the mood. It's been a side effect. And, you know, chemo works differently for other people. You know what I'm saying? People tend to feel things differently. You know, you got fatigue, mood swings, nausea. For her, she got a decreased libido. And Maurice thinks about sex all the time. It's nothing new. But the fact that she doesn't feel like it, but still suffers it to give her husband what he wants, I got a problem with that. And I love the fact that, you know, she said it without saying it. Yeah, I be faking. And he'd be like, wait, you been faking? Yeah, she's been faking. Because she's not in the mood. She don't wake up in the morning, hot for you, wet for you. She don't feel nothing. And instead of you understanding that this is a very, you know, traumatic, stressful time for her. And she's had a lot of stressful moments of dealing with this. Not only is she worried about her decreased libido, she's worried about your son not stepping up and handling his responsibilities. You not backing her up. She's still doing her daily routine around the house, cooking and cleaning and keeping up with everything, which I did not like. I get annoyed when I see Kimmy in the kitchen preparing food. I felt like she should not be doing none of that. She should be resting. Maurice, you said in the beginning, you didn't want her to celebrate her last round of chemo because you felt like that's not a huge milestone to celebrate. You didn't want her to overexert herself. But yet, she still overexerts herself of making sure you're sexually satisfied, your home is clean, you got food, and your son is being raised by her. And you don't do nothing at all. And I got a problem with that. And since July, which is pretty much her diagnosis, how many times has she initiated sex? He says 50. She has not initiated 50% of wanting some sex. And then you mentioned the time where she backed that ass up on you and you thought it was a sign that says, okay, cool. No, it was a sign to cuddle. It wasn't a sign to have sex. I got annoyed. I mean, last season, the retreat, Maurice just wanted sex all the time. And she just told him, if you help me out with this, figure this out, you can have all the sex that you want. But he doesn't want to do that. Maurice doesn't like change. And we're having a long ass conversation about their sex life. And it just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? She doesn't feel satisfied. She doesn't feel sexy. She doesn't feel beautiful. And you're not listening. You're worrying about you. And it hurts my feelings to see that Kimmy is putting herself as a service to him. It's making it seem as if sex is a chore. Sex is a job. Sex shouldn't be a job. Sex should be at a time when you and your partner are enjoying each other. She don't get no enjoyment. You do. She just said it. The sex is really for you. And it hurts my feelings when I hear that. It really does. And it's not to say she's not attractive. She just don't feel pretty. And she's got accommodating so much for her husband to get what he wants, and she don't get nothing out of it. I don't think he heard nothing. It just pretty much said, do better at not making it obvious that you're faking. And I felt like that's not going to work for me. Then Kimmy continues on with meeting up with her best friend to let her know what's going on. And the side effect of chemo is her decreased sex drive. I was completely irritated that we had two scenes of Kimmy talking about the same thing. I was like, can we hurry up along with this? I mean, yes, it's a lesson. It's knowledge to know. But Kimmy is pretty much screaming out, help, help. I do not want to have sex with my husband, but I'm also in fear if I don't give him the amount of sex that he wants, he gonna cheat on me. And that's all I can hear Kimmy say. So I can hear. All I can hear is she has to pretty much sacrifice her happiness, sacrifice her energy, everything that she wants to do for herself. She has to sacrifice all of that to make sure that Maurice gets the same amount of sex that he wants and doesn't look for other ways to get it. Bruh, if you love your wife like you say you do, you need to be patient with this time. Be patient that it's not going to bounce back, that she's going to get right back to being, horny for you, hot for you. This was a very traumatic time for her. And you're not understanding that. You're not, trying to give her the space to be comfortable. You're just worrying about you. And that's all Maurice does. He's selfish. And I said, sex has become a chore for Kimmy. And I don't like it. Even though she's being honest with how chemo has, affected her, Maurice wasn't listening. It is a history for us to learn. And it's like talking to a brick wall, okay? And he's even offering to help her finish and get there, but she don't want to be touched. Like, no, I'm great, I'm good. I don't feel like hopping on it right now. It's not to say she don't love him. It's just, I cannot, mental. Having sex is mental. It's not only physical, it's mental. I have to want in my mind that I want to have sex with my husband so he can connect to to say I'm ready to have sex with my husband. If she's not feeling up here in her mind, it's not gonna connect it to her It's not. And it's just he does not listen. It's the same thing. Okay, it's the same thing. He's not looking at his wife who is beat breast cancer, but she's not the same person she was before. And I got annoyed. I'm sorry. I got annoyed that whole conversation, it just proved that Kimmy is in this marriage by herself. She's the only one who's making changes. She's the only one who's trying to compromise, and Maurice don't. Marissa want to compromise. He wants things to be exactly the way they were, but they're never going to. And he needs to be patient for that. But I'm going to move on. Like I said, it was just two scenes of the same situation. Tiffany. We're at Tiffany's baby shower, and everyone has arrived. Tisha was asked, where's Marceau? I think it was Maurice. She said he might not come because he's not feeling Tiffany right now. I felt like, why? This has nothing to do with Marceau. Marceau wasn't the one that was questioned. It was Sheree. And Martell, who was her man, I'm putting air quotes, wanted to correct that. Marceau had nothing to do with it. Like he always acts like something is done to him and it has nothing to do with him. Not like it don't make no sense how Marceau want to take over or take on Martell's issue. Like it's his issue. Now Tisha was being messy. She wants to know how is Mel dealing with Martell dating other people and had they had a conversation about it. Nell says she knows he's dating other people, but she's not ready to meet them. Yeah, because he's still taunting and antagonizing her, so she's not trying to go that way with him. Melody arrived. She's happy to be there in support of Lewis and Tiffany, hoping that everyone brought their positive energy. I said they did not. Tisha is being messy by bringing up what Marceau said. By talking about Tiffany and Sheree's conversation, asking him all kind of questions, like how's it feel dating a cheater, and do you think that your pussy is good enough to keep him? I was like, Tisha, you couldn't help it, could you? This had a baby shower. A baby shower. And you couldn't help but talk about this? So we're not about to make it seem as if Tisha had the right to say something, as Tiffany didn't have the right to ask questions. So at this moment, everyone is messy. Nell, I did not like what you did, Nell. It turned me off that you did this. You wanted to bring up the conversation when Melody sat down about what Tisha just told you. And I felt like you don't do that. But I always want to bring this up. And that's why Tisha's not a good friend. Tisha is going to be no more than a hater because, you know, Melody does not want to hear about this. She already told y'all, don't give me updates about Martell. I don't care what he's doing. I don't care who he's doing. I don't care. You want to say, let's ask her about it. Let's ask her about it. Can y'all see how giddy Tisha got when Melody came? And she said, what y'all talking about? Well, we were having a conversation and, you know, I don't want you to be uncomfortable. What we're going to talk about. She said, y'all not about to make me uncomfortable. For me, that should have been a sign. Y'all should have read between what she said because Melody's face was like, oh, Lord, here I go. So, Nell decided to bring up that Tiffany wanted to know if Sheree's pussy is good enough to keep Martell. Melody's face was like, okay, I'm going to go get a plate. She checked out. I'm so happy she walked up and checked. I'm going to get a plate. And she said, this is why I did not want to be a part of this. I'm not even sitting down for 2 seconds and someone's telling me nothing. This is not Melody being bragging about how I'm always the topic of conversation, but it's like what it is. She's always the topic of conversation. Tisha and Nell couldn't help but bring up this. Tisha wanted to tell everyone about it. Storm was in the middle of it, and Nell wanted to bring it up. This is so not good. It's at a fucking baby shower, bro. A baby shower. So when she said, I'm leaving, I'm going, deuces, I'm going to give me some meatballs. Now, Stormy was part of that conversation as well to blast Melody with new information. And she said, y'all hear about the other part? What other part? This is her being messy to have another opportunity to go after Mel. She mentioned of having a meeting with Tiffany, and Tiffany interpreted from Sheree that Melody was a fan. But the way that Stormy mentioned it, she said that you were a fan of hers. You were driving around. I mean, you drove to go to her book signing to meet her. You were a fan, and I'm just like, Stormy, that's not what happened. Nobody drove nowhere. You added more to that. Tiffany insinuated, that's the part what I said in the beginning. This is the part of Sheree leaving for interpretation. Because she said she was at my book signing. Without her saying that Melody was a part of the event, she was a paid speaker, because she probably didn't even know that. But she, drummed it up as anybody else would. She came to my book signing, means she's a fan. Tiffany insinuated that as well. You took that, and now you want to spin it by saying she drove to Birmingham to see her, to meet her. And that's not what happened. No one drove to meet her. So, Stormy, that was your opportunity to embarrass Mel by saying, oh, you were a fan of somebody. Oh, I see. But nah, Melody cleared it up that, oh, no, that was supposed to be a natural hair event that I was a paid speaker on. And she was there for a book signing. We just took a picture. That's all it was. I don't know her. That's the first time I met her. I haven't seen her in years. So, boom. There it is. There it is. So, Stormy, that was lame. Nell, you were lame. Tisha, you were lame. Moving on. So, Marceau and Martella ride. Melody saw him because she also said this. I don't have a problem with anyone. My issue is with one person and one person only, and that one person walked in the door. And when she saw him, she got up and leave. God bless you on your journey. I'm with Mel. You best believe I'll be leaving out of this place and I deal with this fool. Absolutely. Goodbye and good night. Because Marceau was looking for a seat. And she said, you want a seat? You can have mine. I'm leaving. Goodbye. Loved it. So since Martell couldn't get his moment with Melody, he felt like, okay, let me talk to Lewis. Lewis said to Tiffany, oh yeah, because he remembered that he did not go after them the way he should have in the beginning. I think it was the season before last season. But he said, oh, he gonna get all the smoke now. Ain't no holding back. I'm gonna give him what he want, period. And this is supposed to be a conversation between Lewis and Martell. Here go Marceau being referee and a co-sign, which I don't like. I'm getting annoyed because Marceau was asking Lewis what did he hear before Martell can say what he heard. And I'm like, Marceau, why are you trying to referee this conversation? Lewis said, I'm not gonna say what I heard until I know what happened. So what's up? So because Tiffany was there for a meeting, but you talked about her questioning Sheree. Yes. And two grown men wanted to question my wife. I have a problem. So they were irritating me from the beginning. Okay, I am more annoyed that Marshall keep asking Lewis the same question. Like, what did you hear? What did she say? I said, shut up, Marshall, sit back. So what I heard was my wife asked, how does it feel to date a cheater? Which I hear is a valid question. Yeah, but that wasn't a question that she should have asked. I don't give a fuck, Martell. It's the truth. We know what you do. We know what you do. We know what you're capable of. Then Martell want to say, do you think her pussy is good enough to keep him? Here go Marceau. I don't think any human being would say that. Shut the fuck up, Marceau. Get your arrogant, toothless ass away from me. Oh my God. Go. Move into your apartment with your family. Go away. Lewis is repeating what we all figured out. Sheree's a grown-ass woman. If she didn't want to answer those questions, she didn't want to talk, she didn't have to. She could have easily gotten up and walked away. Exactly. But Sheree is not new to these kind of questions. She's not new at all. Now, they keep on telling him they did not approach Tiffany. They was already there when she came. I don't care. I don't care. You guys still tag team her about questioning a grown-ass woman. Get the fuck out of here. Again, why did you not come to Lewis first? Because it was not your place. It still was not appropriate for you to question his wife, his pregnant wife at that. She was very uncomfortable. And the whole Karen, he said, what's a Karen? What's a Karen? Here go Marceau. What you mean? No, what's a Karen? I need y'all to break it down for him. What's a Karen? Why did you guys feel call his wife a Karen? What is it? So Marceau broke down what a Karen is. A Karen is someone who gives unsolicited advice, who feels entitled, and doesn't care about and no one else's opinions. All they care about is getting their opinion across. I felt like, oh, pop me kettle. Marceau, that's you. That's you. Because you gave too much solicited advice when it came out to Martell and Tiffany. And you are always giving unsolicited advice that no one asks about. So, yeah, if you want to call her a Karen, you're a Ken. How about that? You're a Ken. But I don't think that's Tiffany. And you wanted to add on the Karen because she's half white. A Karen is someone who gets mad when you call out what they're doing. Tiffany didn't get mad as you called her out. She didn't get mad. She didn't backpedal. She stood 10 toes down. I asked, how's it feel to date a cheater? I asked about this. So your version of a Karen is pretty much what a Ken is. And that's what you are. You can miss me. Then the whole blended family conversation popped up. Marceau wanted to say, stop, Lewis, stop. I felt like, why are you giving so much energy to this man? What do you expect? Did Marceau expect for Lewis to throw his wife under the bus like he does Tisha? Did he not expect for his wife to defend her? I don't get it. And then the whole negative fact of him being a cheater. It's not negative if you don't accept it. That's what I felt like. You being a cheater shouldn't be a negative effect towards you. It's what you do. It's what you are. But if you want to own that part, can't nobody spray you. If you own that you cheated, you fucked up, can't nobody hurt you anymore from that. That's the part that he doesn't want to admit about himself. Now, Marcel, I'm gonna need for you to step back because you're doing too much of stop it, stop it, stop it. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I don't know if Marcel want to give Lewis that energy because Lewis called him out on not communicating with his wife. Then that's what I'm getting. In the confessional, Lewis said, my wife might have said something that came out wrong that affected Sheree, but I can understand Marcel feeling away. But what I don't get is what does Marcel have to do with it? Like, he has nothing to do with this, and he's starting to aggravate me. He's starting to piss me off. At the end, he said, you're justifying what you did. Were you right? Were you right? To go to my wife versus me? You was right about that? I think Marcel said, I don't have to go to you. Which means you don't have to go to me. Get the fuck out of here. So you think that it's okay to go to my wife instead of me? Bet. The next time I go to your wife and not you, how about that? Marcel said, you ain't gonna come to my wife. Oh, yes, he is. Yes, he is. If you think that you giving your advice to another woman who's pregnant and giving off the energy you want someone to put her hands on her, then yeah, the next time something happens, I'm not going to go to you. I'm going to go to your wife. How about that? Please, Marceau, get away from me. Marceau always have so much energy for women, but never for men. So then Maurice hears him, and Maurice didn't make it no better because now it's a 3-on-1. That's how I saw it. It's a 3-on-1 right here. Because since Maurice had no idea what happened, he only caught a glimpse of what happened. And as soon as he sees Martel and Marceau going back and forth, he's like, oh, let me come in and step in, but not step in on what's right. Step in on making sure Lewis doesn't do nothing crazy. And it's so funny to me that they're trying to convince Lewis what she did was wrong over someone that doesn't do the same thing. Maurice, apply that same pressure to your brother to check his mother-in-law for creating a rumor about Sugar Mama. Apply that shit. Apply that Martel did too fucking much, and apply that if you had not cheated on your wife, you wouldn't be here. Like, get the fuck out of here with that shit. I can't. Martel never, they're always defending this man when he's wrong. Like, I cannot. Like, you're putting so much energy over a question versus what Miss Wanda did. And I said it's a 3 against 1. Maurice, you're not saying nothing. Go back inside. Fix Kimmy a play because you don't do nothing anyway. And then Marceau wants to put words in Lewis's mouth. And he said, you want me to say that? I didn't say that shit. You wanted me to. So again, going back and forth. Marceau putting words in his mouth. And you want me to say, were you right? But were you right? Say, you had a point to come to my wife, but were you right? Were you right? No, you weren't right. Now, when he was poking at Martel, I think he mentioned Melody's name, and that set Martel off, and they both come in. Maurice come in to move Martel. Marceau come in and move Lou. He said, don't do that. Don't do that. I wanted Lou to drop kick Martel. I wanted him to mostly drop kick Marceau. I wanted him to, but they cut it off. They cut it. I feel like Martel the one to the accountability that he handled it wrong. Because I feel like two things can be right. Did Tiffany do too much for asking those questions? Yeah, I don't care that she did. But Martel, he did have a right to step up to her, but he did not stay on task. He allowed for Marceau to sway him to get more upset, to be more mad at what was said than not understanding. That's what happened. So and that's why he want to perpetrate that he's this perfect guy on RHOA versus who he is on Love and Marriage Huntsville. I can't take it. You knew for a fact people were going to investigate, ask questions. I feel like Marceau wanted more of a reaction from Lou when he didn't get it, especially checking about his wife. He's like, my wife was wrong, but come holler at me. Come to me. Don't come to her. Come to me. And Marceau, his face, his whole energy annoyed the fuck out of me. And he called him out. He said, first of all, if y'all have an issue and you want me to address it, come to me. I'ma handle it. First of all, y'all two grown-ass men. Second, that's my wife. She's pregnant. She's a female. I said, period. Marceau was so annoyed and irritated. I don't know why. I don't know why. Did you want to, watch Lewis say something different about Tiffany, and when he's getting called out for it, you want to say, oh, remember you said this? You trying to set him up for something? I don't know, Marceau. That's what I'm getting. Lewis was annoyed with Marceau. He was so annoyed. When they was all hugging and stuff, he jacked away from him so hard, I felt like, yeah, that ain't over. That ain't over. It ain't over. Because I hope at the reunion, he checks that ass. I said Marcel gave way too much energy, was way too involved in this conversation, had nothing to do with him. And then I just said it just now. Lewis and Marceau gave a dap and a hug, and I think Marceau said something slick. Lewis jetted away from him so hard. I was like, yeah, he's still upset about it. I hope with the reunion they get questioned about this shit. No sweeping under the rug or nothing. Tiffany wasn't feeling good. You know, she started to feel some contraction, and she is having some light sensitivity, wanting some lights off. She sees stars, and it got scary. So 911 could be called. Kimmy, the nurse, gonna come in and figure it out. I'm like, oh shoot, what happened? And people were making it seem as if Tiffany created a diversion to get Lewis away from that, but I don't think so. I don't think Tiffany would go as far as faking a symptom of a contraction or feeling sensitive to stars and light, because that can happen. Every pregnancy is different. You start to feel things you don't normally feel. It can affect all parts of your body. So obviously we know that Tiffany had a safe delivery, but as far as this situation, we're going to find out more. I hope that she was okay in that scene. But I said in the beginning, this whole episode annoyed me. Everyone did. And Marcel and Tisha are hypocrite as fuck. And Marcel was a messy ass queen. But y'all, that's all I have. Please stay tuned for the next video, and I'm see you guys later. Bye.